What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about another episode of Tech Tips. This is going to be how to get started as a tech or a mechanic, and a little bit about how I got my start. Let's go ahead and jump into this episode of Tech Tips. Applying for jobs. I'm not going to get too much into it, but if you're trying to get into the business, say you're not in the automotive industry and you want to get started and you want to work on cars, you want to find somewhere that you can start as a lube tech. Obviously, you're not going to make a whole lot of money until you start moving up and start building yourself, building rapport with, your coworkers and a shop or lube place or whatever the place is that you start at. And here's some questions that you're going to get asked no matter where you go, what shop you go to, what kind of lube place you go to, or dealership, or wherever you go. These are some questions, and I'm going to go down the list. They're going to ask you all these similar questions as some sort of fashion. Do you have experience? Now, obviously, if you're not in the business whatsoever, it's hard to get in somewhere sometimes when you don't have experience, when they say, well, we want someone who has experience. If you can find somewhere that will kind of work with you a little bit and try to train you a little bit, and kind of get your feet wet and kind of get your foot in the door a little bit, that's kind of a way to go. Next question is, they're probably going to ask is, do you have tools? And what kind of tools? There's all kinds of tools out there. There's so many different things that you're going to need as a technician. It's an endless market. There are your screwdrivers, ratchets, wrenches, everything. You're just going to get, that's a common question that you're going to get asked no matter if you're starting out as a lube tech or if you're going in somewhere as a technician. Next question is, have you been to school or taken some courses? Say if you've been to community college or some type of tech school or tech college or vocational school, they're going to ask you, similar questions like that. They may ask you, do you have any ASE certifications? Do you have any type of certifications working on vehicles or cars in the automotive industry? The next one would be, what kind of toolbox do you have? That's not a big thing. When you're starting out, you don't need to rush out and buy some huge snap-on box and try to be like the big guys and guys who've been in it 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years. You can start out small with a desktop or benchtop box that locks. If you're gonna have a small toolbox or any type of toolbox, I highly recommend that you have something that's lockable and secureable. The toolbox does not make the technician or mechanic. The tools and your knowledge does. You as yourself and your personality and knowledge is going to be able to build yourself better, and your tools. As long as you have a decent little box that you can build, work your way into, and as soon as you start filling it up and you run out of space, you can start building it up a little bit. And maybe you can move out of that, kind of like a hermit crab. We call it the hermit crab phase. You obviously you're moving into yourself over time. Some people may not want the big, huge, extravagant box, or they might just want to, 2 or 3 stack, whatever, Craftsman or, small Snap-on or whatever the case is. You don't need a big toolbox. Here's some questions that you should ask yourself. That you're probably gonna hear a lot. What kind of tools do I need? You're gonna ask, maybe somebody, what kind of tools do I need to start out as a technician or mechanic or in the automotive industry? We're gonna kind of make another video on some of this stuff a little bit later. But some of your basics, you need screwdrivers, you need pliers, you need ratchets, wrenches. You've got to have, dead blow hammers, air tools. I'm not saying rush out and buy all this stuff at once if you're trying to get into somewhere. You can buy, sets at Walmart. You can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Harbor Freight. Now they're selling more better, decent tools. You don't have to go out and buy extravagant tools to get started. If they break, so what? You didn't pay a whole bunch of money for them. You're going to be out 5, 10, maybe $40 if you buy the cheap stuff. Buy something that has maybe a good warranty on it. You're going to need an impact gun. You're going to need, some small air tools, maybe an air ratchet. You don't have to have the expensive air tools. Maybe if you go to a pawn shops, flea markets, wherever you can find something from, some type of thrift store, whatever, if you come across a deal or something to get yourself established and started, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It just needs to do the job and do it decently. And that way you're not tearing things up. Again, like I said, you need a decent amount of tools. Now, again, like I said, you don't have to have every single tool out there to get started. You just need the basics, like I said, screwdrivers, pliers, a few air tools, several things like that. And another question you're going to get asked yourself, what would you be doing, or what would I be doing? As a lube tech, if you're just trying to get into the business, I'm going to tell you, I started out as a lube tech. You're going to start out doing tire rotations, air filters, oil changes. Maybe once you build your stuff up a little bit, you might start doing some, if you work into a shop or maybe a lube place, you might be doing some small services, say little flushes or things of that nature. So you have to take everything in baby steps, and anywhere you go, it's going to be small baby steps. Don't rush into anything. You don't want to rush into the automotive industry. It takes time. It takes years to build yourself and your skill set and your knowledge up. Take everything you can from someone who's been there a long time. Don't try to walk in anywhere you go, no matter if you've been doing it for a while or if you're just trying to get your foot in the door and your feet wet. Don't try to say that you think you know everything, because there's so many different things that you thought you knew in the outside world compared to the inside world as a technician or mechanic in the automotive industry. It all goes out the window. I thought I knew some things when I first started, but a lot of that went out the window. There are certain ways that certain shops may run. Certain shops may do things a certain way. So there's that kind of thing. Next thing would be things you should expect as yourself or in the business. You're going to see so many different things in the automotive industry. You're going to see ball tires, crappy fluids, crappy cars, cars that are probably falling apart. It doesn't matter if you work in a dealership or a Jiffy Lube, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different things that are going to happen over time, and you're going to see so many different things. So it's always something new every single day. And that's one thing I can definitely say. It's an ever-changing market. It's an ever-changing job. There's so many different things. Now, there is a lot of repetitiveness. There is a lot of same kind of work. But at the same time, you're going to see a lot of different crappy problems from all across the board. It doesn't matter. Different makes, models, everything. And lastly, I'm going to tell you kind of how I got started. I've been in the automotive industry for probably about 9 going on 10 years. I got started as I was probably 15 when I started out. Some people say, well, that's pretty young. How did you start out at 15? Well, I started out when I was 15 doing detailing, vinyl graphics, pinstripes, things of that sort. I started out in the detailing world. I was working for a friend of mine's dad's little business he was running long time ago. Started out learning that kind of trade. Then I moved into the professional detailing world, detailing cars. I did that for probably maybe several years until I got out of the detailing business for probably about a year. Then I moved into, when I got out of the business for detailing, I went into body shop. And it was very interesting and different for a little while. You know, I've worked at a car wash place as well before I went to a body shop. And I was assistant store manager for a place there. And then I went into a body shop, and that gave me a different perspective of vehicles and tearing vehicles apart, working on them. And I really like and enjoy doing it. But it's just, you know, being a body guy or working in a body shop, it's really nasty, dirty work, which is any across the board working on cars. Um, but what I can say is I did enjoy it for a little while. Got out of the body shop. I worked for a body shop for probably about 6 months. Got out of it, got back into detailing. The place I used to work at detailing, they wanted me back. I worked there for probably about a couple of months, and they decided to make me detail manager. Some things happened with the store and people, and I stepped into the role as detail manager. I ran a detail department full of probably about 6 people for about, I don't know, maybe about about a year and a half, until the department got subcontracted. We all got laid off, that kind of thing. Went back to work for a body shop for probably about a couple months, and I was a mechanic. Actually, I started out being a mechanic in a body shop. It's kind of hard to believe I wasn't a body guy, but I also did do body work, you know, welding, different things like that, prep work, helping the painter. You know, it was a very, very small shop at the time, and ended up getting laid off from that because work at the time was just completely dead. I mean, it was so bad that there was down to 3 people in the shop. That it got that bad. And when I finally got out of it, directly that week, I already had people like 2 or 3 job offers to come and either be a lube tech, or another lube tech, or, you know, starting out as a maintenance tech. I ended up taking the job as a maintenance tech for a Chrysler dealership. And I did start out actually as a lube tech. When you start with Chrysler, there's different things. Again, I'll probably talk about that in another video. But, you know, they have their own set rules and things they have to do, compared to other dealerships and brands. They're very sticklers about how their technicians do things. They're very particular about how they want things done. But currently, at the time that I'm making this video, I've been a technician and a mechanic for 2 years. Built myself up, my knowledge, my skills, my tools. Got a new toolbox, actually this year, 2017. And, you know, starting out in the business, I will say I've been doing this, you know, going on 9 years, almost 10 years. Next year 2018 will be 10 years for me doing this. I'm 25 doing this currently now. You know, kind of young. In between that time, I spent a lot of time in the military. I spent probably about 6 years in the Army National Guard as a military police. So in between, when I wasn't doing main work, I was doing, you know, other work in the automotive industry. You know, being in the automotive industry, it can be stressful. It's hard. It's nasty, down and dirty. You know, it really takes a strong passion to be able to work in the automotive industry. And that's one thing I can definitely say. You know, it's not easy. So if you're trying to get into the business, you're going to have to work at it. I just wanted to share this little bit of information with you guys that are looking to get into the business, or, you know, really wanting to do this. You know, for all you guys watching out there, stay strong, stay hard at it. Don't give up. That's one thing I can definitely say. Don't give up doing it. You got to try your best and hardest. I appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe, like, share, do what you do. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Keep on wrenching, guys. We'll see you guys in the next video.